It's a sad story. It's a story about what President Biden and Vice President Harris have done while most Americans are paying attention to the election. In the middle of the Indian Ocean is a group of very important islands called the Chagos Islands. The Chagos Islands are a territory of the United Kingdom. Years ago, the United States and the United Kingdom, Great Britain, made a deal. The United States received permission to build a military base on one of the islands, one of the Chagos Islands. It's a very important military base. It's right there in the middle of the Indian Ocean, close to India, but more importantly, close to China. Now, also a number of years ago, the weenie wokers at the United Nations started criticizing the United Kingdom, saying, you know, the Chagos Islands are a territory and they shouldn't be a territory, they ought to be independent. So finally, the United Kingdom has given in and said, okay, we're going to give the Chagos Islands back. And President Biden and Vice President Harris didn't say a word. Now, why is that dangerous? Well, remember that the United States is a very important military base on one of the Chagos Islands. Now, the Chagos Islands will no longer be owned by the United Kingdom. They'll now be owned by Mauritius, on which China can put pressure. What are we going to do, even though we supposedly have a lease? What are we going to do if Mauritius, the new owner of the Chagos Islands and our military base, says, get out, America, we don't want you there anymore? And you can believe that China, from day one, is going to start putting pressure on Mauritius to do that. And what are we going to do when China starts sending its spies, as it already has, to try to spy on our military base in the Chagos Islands? The United Kingdom will no longer be there to help us. And I'm very disappointed that the United Kingdom just gave in to be politically correct to the weenie wokers at the United Nations. But I'm especially disappointed that President Biden and Vice President Harris went along with it. Had they objected and put pressure on the United Kingdom, I can assure you, would not have done this. So, congratulations, President Biden and Vice President Harris. You have been politically correct. You have, in effect, given away one of our military bases. But in doing so, you have undermined America's security interests and a very important American military base right in the middle of the Indian Ocean that we use to reload submarines and where we have Navy ships and bombers. You've given it to a new country that could tomorrow tell us to get out, even though we supposedly have a lease. And you can be sure that China is going to be pushing on them to do just that. Weakness invites the wolves. In order to satisfy the weenie wokers, the politically correct activists at the United Nations, President Biden and Vice President Harris have put America's security interests at risk. Shame on them.